Okay, perhaps third time's the charm now. Um, this is funny. The locks and everything here um, look pretty good. Some of them I don't see water in, which makes me kind of uneasy. Um, Boyan has a wonderful video on like overworld resetting and everything that like I agree with a lot, and you know I just for me I just really like to see water on locks and everything. So, but all of these look good enough to at least warrant a gander at. By the way, I've seen this run like more times than I normally would for feedback, so I kind of know like the flow of the feedback. I like how you got this BT here. Like, you find that you realize that it's probably one deeper, so you mine this one and go for it from there. That, and you get a bubble back, which obviously is very, very nice for um, like health management reasons. That being said, though, I would definitely still grab this iron sword, um, especially if you're about like once you see the materials. One, I guess two things here. One, I definitely just grab it anyway because it's a good habit to get into. Unless I see that I have a ton of iron, and I'll just like craft one anyway. Well, even then, I'd just still take it, I guess. But like, regardless, right? You're on like air quotes lower materials to where like this is just kind of an obvious like iron pick bucket light and then iron pressure plate situation with a uh gold shovel. So that means that you're gonna play like um probably a stone axe here, and stone axe plus iron sword is just really really good. um you see a lot of top runners, especially in ranked, do it just because the micro time save is like really important for specifically spawners, but could still make the difference even in like dynamic situations because of how quickly you can just shred blazes with axe plus sword. By the way, this configuration here won't like flood your thing because the water will just go down here and it won't go back there. Um, if you're worried about like what configurations of like this like flood your pool, I'd recommend just looking into them because like this was just like an unnecessary fix. It's nitpicky, but it's still 2 seconds, and like especially when you get to these lower times, those the micro time becomes that much more important. One thing I want to shout out here that I think that this is just a really good example of is that was a damageless overworld, and this going to Bastion split as well is also like totally damageless and like also not slow. Like he's still like speed bridging. He's still like making some. Actually, I didn't catch this on any of the other run backs, but you could definitely just boat extension this, like jump and then just hop in your boat. It's like really really easy. Like this is just slower. Regardless, is still damageless. I say that like that's not like objectively like riskier, but it's not as long as you practice your boat extensions. But what I was saying, like having damageless overworlds and going to bastion splits is pretty important for food management in general, because like he's just now starting to tick down hunger. We have a gold shovel here. You can toss that and just totally avoid this hit. Because by the time, like, the person or the pig that's not trading realizes that you're, like, still not wearing gold armor, you could have either equipped the gold armor or thrown another piece out, and just continued to not take damage. But either way, this is a really strong split still. Take arrows, you're not guaranteed them in any other chest, obviously. What you can do here is, especially if you like open your inventory, you can just throw the gold here now. So that way when these guys drop, they can immediately start trading. Okay, here's another thing, I guess. So like you can just toss out a ton of gold here, like in this corner here, because then it'll trickle down like right here, which means all of your pigs are just totally free from like being down here, right? Which means that you just have all of the holes available. So obviously you have this one, which most people send. But then you also have the secondary fast hole and then the like primary fast hole. Obviously this one will like 99.9% be open. This one's usually open, and then this one is like the least open. But since all of them are open here, you just send here. But if this is just the automatic response because this is so open, like usually, I don't hate it still. It's obviously a fast hole, which I like prefer other than the like curry hole or whatever. By the way, under current timing regulations, like this like little weird oh, I actually don't know if that's, I don't think that that's covered. So it's just like be careful when you menu. And there's also like actively debate on like timing regulations and everything, so who knows if it's gonna change. The pre-inventory management did you wonders here as well. Like, you have all of your stuff and you know that you have enough of all of the materials since you split everything. Very well done. I also like this play of just going higher. It's like more on angle. I'd probably eat slightly sooner. Like, instead of sorting, or like, instead of tossing out some things, I would instead eat so that way you can get like the saturation and slow healing quicker. Um, as soon as you realize that you're safe here, and by the way, just like throwing maybe like a closer pearl as well. Like, yeah, it's like slightly slower, but you also have soul speed, which, by the way, get soul sand on your bar. It's just really, really fucking good, especially for soul skating, spawner stuff, all of that kind of thing. That and, like, yeah. I guess that's the thought. But, like, since you can do that, you can also, like, go further back and then just utilize more of this, like, lava area for it, so that way you can spawn blazes, like, further into the into the fortress. But what I was saying was, as soon as you realize that you're safe here, just pause, turn down RD. You take a couple of steps here, and, like, it ends up, like, this kind of, like, beautiful lava lake area is just kind of a dud because those guys were there anyway. But yeah, and then this is also where the sword would just be super fucking good. Like, blazes right there, just super quick, especially when you get 4 spawns like this. Just, like, crit all of them once and then switch to the sword and crit them. It's incredible. But this is where, because I know other people watch this video, I'm sure that you're aware of it, but if not, just shouting out the information. But this is where the, like, food management earlier in the run starts to pay dividends. Because, like, he sees these strays over here, and because, like, he has 3 salmon, which, like, for the rest of the run, he has 3 salmon plus a potential death reset in the stronghold, right? So that's just a ton of HP that he could gain if he needs it. So basically he's playing, like, this to the stronghold, like the fortress to the stronghold on 3 salmon, which is way more than enough, even for, like, further situations. So now he's just able to play this fort split, like, fairly aggressively. Like, he could play it even more aggressively than he ends up playing it, but huge. Like, he doesn't even, like, you could really just pearl here as well because of the food situation. Just, like, eat first, pearl, go for it. Damn. That's a hell of a swing. Oh, here's a potential shout out. I saw Ral do this one time. You could do something like this. Okay, so all the way back at the Bastion, right? You have an apple. Not sure if you're aware of it, like how aware you are of apples, but obviously gaps can be, like, really, really good. There's this block. Let me pull up an instance of Minecraft real quick, actually. There's a block called the Forsen block that is really, really good for, what's it called? For gapples and carrots and everything. Let me just pull it up for you real quick. Also, shout out to Biddy for making this. Damn. I'm just gonna turn sounds down real quick. So right here, there's this block called the Forsen block. And hold on. It's right there. That, like, when you go all the way back to here, you're just, like, right there, and you could just get a free gap. It's probably overkill for, like, the food situation, but as we'll see later, it kind of ends up mattering. Kind of. Not really. But, you know. But this is where the run starts to get really quick. Sub 6 blind into a sub 300 block second portal cord. To where it's now like a sub 630 stronghold. Barely. But still. Hover, maybe preemptive, which is just like hover hitbox preemptive, with a couple of like additional modifications for like understanding spawners, like mob spawners specifically, has come out since this run was ran. So if you haven't learned it, I definitely recommend learning it, but obviously this is not one of the cases where like you just lose a really good run to like the stronghold being bad. Okay, this is where the soul sand stuff starts to bite you in the butt. Like, you could totally get to that if you had soul sand on your bar and if you were like more confident in the zero. So I'm not sure what this was PB pace wise. I can't remember what your previous PB was. But basically, if you're able to hit that zero, like you said, it's like a 7-3x. So, like, practice the zero. By the way, especially if you had a gap here, very nice. But since you don't, eat the apple. Get the saturation out of it. It's not much, but now you lose the hunger bar, like right here or something. That was a bit early. Still. Stand further back. Like, it's fondling the node or whatever the fuck, but like, you can still like get to it. Oh, I guess you can't because you can't pearl, but still eat that apple, by the way. The slow healing would be nice. Anyway, back to the one cycle. Ah, you get like no slow healing. You get one slow healing. 2. Four plus 1. Not bad. Yeah, the big things are in this run. Like, the food management was really, really good. You were able, like, probably the reason that you were able to play this run as quick as you could was because of the food. What else? Inventory management was good as well. Hover hitbox is like the main thing that I can think of, and then like zeros as well. But yeah, very well played run.